Okay, welcome again to this very insightful tutorial. And it's more or less like a project. And so all the resources that will be required will be dropped in the comment section. And if you find it difficult comprehending any part of this particular tutorial, you can also leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll be right there to attend to it. And it borders on how we can create a very insightful and an interactive dashboard with a particular data set that I will drop in the comment section below. So please, if you are a first time visitor to this channel, do not forget to like and to subscribe to this channel, and I'll be grateful to you for doing so. So quickly, let's dive into what we have for today. Now, I've been able to import the data that we're going to be using. And this data, if you look at your right pane, you'll be able to see some table. Of course, we are using Power BI. So if you are trying to import this data, it might take a while before it gets loaded into Power BI because of the volume of information that you have there. So the first thing we need to do is, before we start creating anything, we need to look at the nature of the table that we have. So if we need to do any kind of transformation, we do that before we go ahead. Else, we run into problem. Now let's start with the first table, infrastructure cost. Now, if we come to table view, I can view each of the table independently. Now, this is the first table, infrastructure cost. Of course, I don't have any issue with that. But then let me check this location table. Now, if I check this location table, I might not be able to see it clearly here. So what I need to do is I need to go to my transformation tab. All I just need to do is I'll come to my report view, then click on transform data. Transform data. From there, I can decide to transform my data to suit what I actually want to do. So if there's any error, if there's any column that needs to be cleaned up, we can do that from here. So let me go to my location table so that I don't waste much of your time. If you look at it very well, you observe that the heading, they are not correctly imported. And what we need to do is the first row, this our first row is meant to be our header. So we need to find a way of moving this first row to become our header. So how do we do that? Just come to your ribbon. You can see your ribbon here, and you see use first row as header. So just click that. Automatically, the first row becomes your header. So now we are good to go with this. So you can see that each of the columns are properly named accordingly. Otherwise, if we fail to do this, we'll run into problem eventually when we want to start building our dashboard. So that's we are good with that. So I can decide to close and apply, and also I can decide to go ahead with other table if there's still any other transformation I would like to do. So let me also check, and also lest I forget, there's it's more or less like a project. So I'll also drop like a PDF file that can guide you step by step into what you need to do. So in real life, if you are to develop a dashboard, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand the nature of your data. So when you understand the nature of your data and you understand what exactly you are looking at, then you'll be able to know whether you need to transform the data or you are good to go. So the next I need to do now is let me go to this queue composition. Let me see if there's anything that I need to do there. Now, if you look at that, you observe that the column one, we don't really need column one because the nature of the project, this column is just more or less like a serial number, so we don't need it. So we can decide to remove it. Just select that column and click on remove column, and that column will be gone. So we need to connect. The next thing we need to do is we need to connect. I'm following the checklist so that I won't waste much of our time. So we need to connect the water source related crime to the rest of our model. The water source related crime to the rest of it. But then before we go ahead, let me just close and apply so that all those changes will be affected on those tables. So apply changes. So while I wait for that to finish applying, so the next we need to do is if you go to your ERD, that stands for entity relations diagram. Now, if you look at it, if you look at the diagram, you observe that every other table seems to be connected, except this water source related um, table. So all we need to do is we need to find a way of connecting this water source related table to the rest of the table. But here is the problem. Even though this location ID seems to be the same as the location ID in a table like visit, just that we might have some duplicate, ID when it comes to visit. For example, an employee might decide to visit a location more than once, so that location ID will appear more than once. So because of those duplicates, Power BI might not recognize this location ID as the same as this. But then, if you also look at some other table, you observe that we also have this same location ID in another table. So all we need to do is we need to find a way of connecting this particular table to the rest of the diagram. Otherwise, we run into problems. So I will just grab my location ID. That appears to be the unique ID that I have here. So grab my location ID, then connect it with this location ID. So then I click OK. Now let me sound this note of warning. This is actually a many-to-many relationship, and most of the time we try avoiding many-to-many relationship in Power BI because most times it poses a lot of problem when it comes to visualization. However, let's just go ahead along the line. You understand why we did what we did. Now, the first visual I want to create now is this data is actually data collected from a particular geographical location known as Maji Ndogu. And the first thing we want to do is we want to generate a map that will display the provinces in Maji Ndogu. A map that will that will display the provinces in Maji Ndogu. Now, what we need to do is come to your visualization pane and grab this shape map. Just click on it. Now, if I should go to my location, you can say I have province name, and I grab my province name and drag it to location. You observe that nothing comes up. This is because this particular town is not actually recognized on the globe. So what I can do is I can decide to use a custom map that have already been designed for this particular purpose. So how do I go about that? Now that I have the province name, and I've actually put the province name as part of my location, so I can decide to go to format visuals, then I'll go to map settings, map type, I'll choose custom map for map type. Then where do I want to get my map from? I already downloaded that JSON file on my system, so I'll just pick this particular file, open. So automatically it will show. You can see that now I have the province names. You can see I have the province name. The province is this another province, is another province. However, we have a particular challenge. It's difficult for us to know which province is which. So all we need to do is I can decide to pick another image that will display all of those provinces on this province map that I have already. So how do I go about it? So I'll go to insert, then insert image. Then on my system, I already have that image downloaded on my system. So I'll just locate the image. Where's the image again? Okay, see the image here, MD map. So automatically, with this image, I am covered. You can see that this image shows all the provinces. All I just need to do is I'll just grab it and place it on my map. Now, you can see that the colors are no longer showing. So all I need to do is I need to format this in such a way that the names will be showing and the color will be showing, so I can identify the province by name. So how do I go about that? I'll just come to my format, just here, format, then I'll click, don't forget to click that image, then I'll click send backward. So automatically, if I just place my cursor on it, I can see each of the provinces. You can see it. So here is Kilman, this and that province, this and that province, this and that province, and so on and so forth. Now the next thing we want to do is this. We need to create a donut chart of the population split between urban and rural. We want to create a donut chart of the population split between urban and rural. Now here is your donut chart. Come to your visuals, select, and don't forget we were working on this map before. Now if I fail to click out and I click on donut chart, what will happen is that automatically Power BI will assume that I want to change the type of visual that I'm using. So this will automatically change donut chart. And of course that will give us error. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create either a pie or a donut chart of the population split between urban and rural. So don't forget, we need to click out from the previous visual that we created so that that will not be changed to this. So having done that, just select your whichever one you use, it's fine. It will yield the same result. So just grab your donut chart, click on it. Now that you've clicked on it, our aim is to create the chart that will show the population, meaning that we need number of people and also need the type of location. The type of location is either urban or rural. So we need the major thing that we need is number of people, and that information is what you can get um, under this table, water source. That's the number of people. So grab number of people, place it in the value, and of course we know we need. Okay, let's select this first. The number of people, place it in value. But we need the total sum. So we're not interested in the count, so we need to change this to sum under that aggregation criteria that we have. Then we want to be able to view it by location type. So select location type and grab it into your legend. Now here is a problem. If you look at it very well, um, we have a particular issue here. Now, the number of people in the rural area is the same as the number of people in the urban area, and it's showing 28 million. Likewise, the total sum of people in this particular geographical region is 28 million, so there's a problem. Now, how do we fix it? We'll come to that in a moment. Now, let's also, I'll tell you what you need to do from here. Now, the next one to do is we want to create a tree map of total number of people per source type. We have different water sources. So we want to create a tree map of the total number of people per source. So all you need to do is click out from this. The next one is a tree map. And here is your tree map. So click on tree map. In the same vein, we need the total number of people. And that information is what we can get under your water source table. The number of people is meant to be under values. Under values. I'm sorry about that. Number of people under values. All right. So here we are. So this is our tree map. So let me just organize this a little so that it won't look so messed up. Okay. Now, having done that, the next thing we need to do is what is the problem with this again? Okay, so let's go ahead. The next thing is we are required um, to show a column chart that shows the total number of each source of water type for every time for every town. Column chart showing the total number of each source of water. I mean each source of water type for every town. So we need to grab this. So whichever one is fine, but based on what we're required to do, but we need something like this. So for the don't forget our aim is to get a column chart that shows the source of water type for each town, and yeah, just for each town. So what we need to do is the town name um, should be on our y-axis. Okay, the town name should be on the x-axis. Let's see. So we have town name. Then the number of people served. So we have this on the y-axis. We also have town name on the y-axis. Then the type of water source on the x-axis. So here we are. Now again, we run into a problem. And if you observe, we know that there's a problem with this visual because it's practically impossible for us to have the same number of people in each of the town with the same, with um, different type of water sources. It's practically impossible. So what we need to do to be able to get this, the problem is actually with our ERD, which is entity relationship diagram. So what we need to do is go to your model view, then under model view, click on manage relationship. Click on manage relationship, and once you are there, choose visit. The problem, the other time we had to find a relationship between our water source and the rest of the table. So that was actually where the problem came from. So all we need to do is click on the visit slash water source relationship, then you click edit. Click on edit. So instead of this cross filter direction, instead of single, change it to both. Then you can click OK, and that should solve the problem. So close this, and once you go back, the problem should be solved. Both for the donut chart and also for this particular column chart. So let's wait for that to be resolved. Voila, off we go. Now the next thing we need to do is, if you are familiar with the data set, you observe that we have rural as a town, and we also have rural as a type of geographical location. For instance, we have location type, two location type, either urban or rural. Now, in order for us not to have this to be conflicting, so we need to remove this rural, which is a town name. Otherwise, it will actually interact with the rural, which will actually eventually become a problem. So how do we do this? We just to filter this rural out. So all I need to do is from the town name, from this town name, I can drag town name, and mind you, under this filter pane, we have two types of filter. You can filter visual independently, and we can also add a filter to the page such that anything you do will affect the whole visual that you have on that page. But in this case, my interest is just this visual alone, so I'll just add a filter to this particular visual that I've selected. So I'll pick the town name, which is already there as part of the filter. Filter on this visual. So I'll click this drop down and remove. Let me select all first. Then I need to remove ruler. Let me remove this ruler. So uncheck that, and automatically that will solve the problem. So that from the first page of the dashboard that we're required to design. And before we proceed to the next one, there's one more thing that we need to do. We need to create a column chart that counts the different sources by type. A column chart that counts the different sources by type. So all I need to do is let me just reduce the size of all of this so that there will be a little more space for me to carry out the last task. So a column chart that counts the different sources by type. So let me select this column chart, different sources, count different sources by type. So all I need to do is grab the type of sources, I'll grab it and place in my x-axis. Then the type of sources, the count now, I'll grab it and place in my y-axis. So that's all we need to do. One thing about Power BI is sometimes you need to experiment certain things so that you know how those things work. Because I've done this before, so I actually understand what I need to do at this point in time. So all we are going to do is create a column chart that will count, it will count different sources by type. So now we know that water source that is known as well has more than 15,000, sources, and so on and so forth. And that's just it. And we can format this visual whichever way we want. But for the sake of this project, there's an instruction that we should ensure that our filter is set to share tab. So we need to filter it to share tab. It's just a follow instruction, but generally anything you want to do, you can actually achieve. And with this particular dashboard that you are seeing, that's actually mark about everything that we need to do for the first dashboard. Now the next thing we need to do is we can go ahead. If you like, you can decide to format the visual whichever way you want it, and format the visual whichever you want it. Now for this, particular visual, we can also do something so that the color will be distinct. Let's try and add type of water source as legend. Type of water source as legend. That will help us in generating some insights later on. As legend. Okay. I need to add that so that I can use that to explain the kind of insight that we can get from it. Now, this blue color stands for river. This this sky blue stands for river. This color stands for share tap. This orange stands for tap in home. Now, if for example, looking at this particular visual, anywhere I see this color, I know that I'm talking about tap in home. Anywhere I see this color, I know that I'm talking about river. Anywhere you see this color, we are talking about well. Now, looking at this particular chart, just looking alone without having access to the data, I can see that this particular town, Zuri, that's the town where we have the most share tap. Because looking at the length of this blue color, not the sky blue, this next one, looking at this, how long this particular color is compared to the other ones, I can conclude that this town actually has the highest number of share tap. So that's one way you can generate insights from visual. You can see that it's quite interesting without looking at table and all of those things. This is what you can actually use to convince people at the managerial level. I can also decide to format this this chart some more. So I'll just come to format visual. So if I decide to format visual, I come to this general, there are several things that I can do there. You can decide to show title. You can decide to remove title. There are several things you can do from here. You can increase the font. If I come to visual, I can decide to scroll down and show data label. that automatically show the value for each of these bars. So I can conclude that, well, we have about 17.4 thousand well across the whole geographical location that we are dealing with. So you can see there are several things that we can do from here. Now let's proceed. Let's proceed to the next thing that we need to do. So the first thing we need to do is I'll drop this guideline. Let's create a new tab first. Before then, we need to transform our data some more compared to what we had already. So we just need to go to our transform data tab. And once you get there, go to your visit table. This is because we have an idea of the kind of dashboard that we are to create, and the table that we have is obviously not enough for us to get those things done. So we need to create additional column, and there's a way we can extract a kind of column that we want from our already existing one. So how do we go about that? Now what we want to do from here now is looking at this time of record, that column. We want to create another column that will just show the day alone. We want the day alone. So what Power BI will do is that by the time we give that command for Power BI to extract the day from here, Power BI will navigate and go and find out what day was this particular date, and then it will just state it there. So how do we go about that? You just click on the column that you're interested in. Then you go to from there you go to so from there you go to add columns, then you come to date. Our interest is just day, so you navigate to day, then name of day. If you choose day of the week, you can experiment it, you get a different result. But for the sake of this analysis, name of day is what I needed actually. So automatically a new column will be created, and I will have the name of the day. You can see it. This particular date was on a Friday, and so on and so forth. So that's just that and that. So we need to get that settled. And not just that alone, we also want to know what hour of the day was that particular day. So in the same vein, we go to that same column that we used, click on the column, then add column, then we come to time. We need hour, so we just click on hour. So it automatically create another column and to tell us the hour of the day. Is the 9th hour, is the 11th hour, is the 15th hour. Of course, we know that 15th hour means 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And with this, I think we are good to go. Now, the next one to do is we want to calculate or want to design a dashboard that will show average queue time per hour of the day. And our interest is a line chart. So we are done with this. So we can just click on home, then close and apply. Close and apply.